Hi, I'm Coleen. Welcome to my channel. Let's make a 4-leaf clover for St. Paddy's Day. I'm going to turn this into a table runner, and this is FPP. Check out my friends Sylvia at UME FPP and Melissa at Practically Creative. See what they do. And yes, this is a thoroughly stuffed bag of white fabric scraps that I'm going to fiddle with till I find the next piece that goes on. I always put the first piece on. I try to do it for every piece of paper, put the first piece on. That way I don't forget it later. Pretty side away from me, number side, letter side up, which means the wrong side of the paper with the wrong side of the fabric. Then we go to number 2 and sew on the line. I'm going to chain stitch every chance I get. So anytime I'm going off the paper, I'm going to get me another one, put the next piece of fabric on it, right sides together of the pretty fabric when I figure out which way it goes and if it'll cover. And start it. Now, since I have to stop at the next line, which means stopping in the middle of my paper, I'm going to cut the one in the back off and do the next piece on it. And that's how I'll be doing the entire video as much as I can. It kind of just keeps it going that way. I'm giving this a finger press, and then I'm going to press it with my iron off the screen. Stop acting shocked that I haven't had a quarter ruler. I do own one, I just don't usually use it. So you use the flat edge to crease your paper back at your stitch line or on your line, and then you use the edge with the little ledge on it to butt up against that fold and cut an even 1/4 inch off right there. See, I even know how it works. I know, we're all impressed. And since there's not a lot of space, I'm just pulling that piece that I left on there back a little bit to give me room to start my next piece. And then, like I said, I'll cut off the last piece, figure out which number I'm on. And making sure that that piece I just put on covers the entire section for that color of fabric, plus a 1/4 inch over. And I'll use the fancy ruler, but I found out this is not absolutely necessary to have. It is handy, but half the time I'll grab my scissors and I'll cut that off. I'll just guess the 1/4 inch. I know. Stop gasping. Shouldn't do that. Oh my gosh. Yes, the world is coming to an end because of that. Edges of my fabric are lined up together. Right sides of the fabric are together. And I'm going to sew on the line. Pull the last one I had back a little bit so I can get this one in there. I will just sew straight across this line. And one piece done. I'm giving it a good finger press. I should have used my iron. I did on most of the pieces. I mean, that's improvement. I'm trimming off a 1/4 inch away from the solid line. This had a dotted line to cut on. When I cut my FPP out, you can see the 1/4 inch line marked there. I'm cutting it. Yeah, there's always that one thread. That one thread hanging on for dear life, and I think I'm a comedian. Oh, this is going to be a long one. Lining my fabrics up, right sides together, sewing on the line, back stitching, stopping at the intersection, then back stitching. Then I'm removing the one that I had on there. See? Lots of chain piecing. And that section is done too. Oh, we are on a roll, and I'm wondering why this took me an hour. I bet if I cut out all the fiddling with those white pieces of fabric, it's not going to take that long. Again, using my add a quarter ruler, fold my paper over and get that 1/4 inch lip bedded up next to the fold. And now all I have to do is line my fabric up on that edge right there. I think we've got the hang of it now. Move the first one out of the way. I lift my presser foot. Sometimes I have to turn my wheel to do that. It releases the thread. And I'll just sew on the next one till I get to the intersection, and then I'll back stitch at that intersection 2 or 3 stitches. Cut the one I left on off and put the next piece on it. Or rip that out because I misjudged the piece again. Trust me, you don't want to see every time I rip out. It's a lot. And it's always me. I don't know what my problem is, but it's always me. In this case, I didn't trim my first piece of fabric to 1/4 inch, so when I lined my second piece of fabric up, it was off. When I sit watching this back, I could tell that piece was the wrong size when I put it on. Seam rip too! I have sewn 2 pieces of fabric together to fit in this space. I'll do that a lot. Seam rip 3. And I thought I was just going to talk about the chain piecing FPP on this one. that would be 4, and I'm not done yet. I can laugh now. There's 5. I may have one more. I'm using the glue to glue the paper back. And there's the one more. 6 times. 6 times. Yeah. If you're paying attention, put the number of times I had to seam rip this one block down in the comments. Spoiler, the next block I'm making, didn't have to rip it all. It goes really fast. We are in the final stretch. Gonna put those 2 together, then the top to the middle, bottom to the middle, and those 2 side leaves. Now I'm going to chain stitch, so whatever I can put together, I do. After I sew the seam, I'm picking out the papers from that seam so I can iron it and it lays flatter for me. When I put these pieces together, I use the corners and put my pin through one corner and then through the other corner on both sides. And if I need to, I'll do it in the middle. And since this had a stem I was trying to line up, I did it in the middle too. Through that stem, it goes through the little corner right there. And you know those are lined up properly. I'm not sure if I'm making a table runner or a wall hanging, but I'm going to need both these blocks, so I'll show you how the second one's done, and it is way faster. One dark fabric 4-inch square, one light 4-inch square, two 3.5-inch squares, four 1.5 by 6.5 strips, four 1.5-inch squares of your green fabric. Now we're going to mark the light fabric. I've got the light and the dark right sides facing each other of the 4 inches. Mark the fabric. I've been talking too much this morning. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides. These will make 2 at a time, 4 patches. And now I'm going to put right sides together. On 2 of the strips, they will have 1 of the green squares on each end, like I'm showing. Right sides together, 1/4 inch. I'm chain piecing, so I'm just leaving one on when I do the next one. Now back to those 4 patches. We're going to cut them in half on the line we drew. The line was 2 inches from the side, and we're going to press both of these to the dark side. I clearly don't know what I'm doing right now. Give me a second, I'll catch up. There we go. Press them both to the dark side, put the opposite colors together, nest those seams, and then I'll try to fill with my fingers to keep it in the center, to keep the center nested. And again, it's 2 inches from the side, 1/4 inch seam. We're going to cut these in half, and there are our 2 at a time 4 patches. So we have our 4 patches done and our sashing with the stones on the corners done. I lay it out how I want to put them together. I've got my upper right green to my left, and I put the 3.5 inch solid piece on top of it. Move it over to my machine. Both of those have the upper green on my left, and the lower one is on my left too. And then we're going to nest those. So one of the white fabrics, when you flip them over right side, will go on one of the 4 patches, and the other one will go on the other 4 patch. And you just nest the center here, line up your edges. Be a quilting rebel, just put one pin in the center, see what happens. I'm joking, don't do that if it makes you upset. And I had a little bit to trim there. I found I needed to trim just a little bit on all my 4 patches, just a tad. It didn't matter though. This section should be 6.5. I had just a little bit peeking out on a couple sides. Now I've got my 6.5, I put it down, and I set up to sew my next pieces. And I've got the green corner to the left and the upper side. I'm putting the sides on first, which are the plain strips, 1.25 inches by 6.5 inches. Just line those edges up. I needed to change my needle. Spoiler, after this I changed my needle and cleaned my machine. I'm winning at life again. Just going to put that second side on. Didn't even cut my threads. Just laid it on there. You can pin it. I would never tell you, don't pin this. Okay, I might tell you that because they attack me. But I was trying to do quickly. And these right sides together, those nest right there in the corners because I've got the large green, the sashing that I just put on. I ironed toward the center, and then the pieces with the little green stones I pressed to the dark side, which were the greens, so they nest right there and line up. So your corners are going to be perfect, or as close to it as we can get. This was really simple, and I didn't have any trouble with getting my corners right. This block and the other block both measure 8 inches unfinished. So if I did a 4 patch for a wall hanging out of them, it would be, what, 15 inches finished? But these are going to go into a table runner. I don't know why I said I didn't know what I was going to make with them. I know exactly what I'm going to make with them. I'm going to need several more Shamrocks though. And just for fun, I'll show you what else I did this weekend. That's right, finished my husband's truck. Woohoo, it's green. Have a good week. Be the light you hope to see in others. Maybe don't punch people because I've heard that's frowned upon nowadays for not wearing green on St. Patrick's Day. Take care.